Our White House correspondent Kimberly Halkett joins us live. Kimberly, there seems to be quite a lot of dissonance between what's coming out of Washington and Tehran.
That's right, but the White House is insisting that these talks are ongoing, that they are continuous. And even though we have had reports out of Iran that those talks stalled on Monday, given that the concern was that Israel was invading into Lebanon and was continuing to press, the U.S. president had indicated that he had resolved that issue, that he had spoken with not only leadership in Lebanon, but also in Israel. And as a result, that was a concern that had dissipated. But clearly, the U.S. president's sensitive, given the fact that Iran is continuing to maintain there has been a breakdown in diplomacy. But what I can tell you is that the White House is indicating that while they may not be talks at the highest level, they say that working groups down below are still talking and still communicating. Now, is this an opportunity for the U.S. president to once again project what he hopes will happen? There is a bit of an indication that is the case, given the fact that the U.S. president has said that while these talks are continuing, they, in terms of Iran, needs to make a deal. And as he looks to the future, he says there will be a deal one way or the other.
Kimberly, I mean, trying to know where we are in trying to get to a deal is a bit like reading tea leaves, isn't it?
It is, and you can tell that the administration is sensitive about this fact and sensitive about media reports that may indicate things are not going the way or at the pace they hope. In fact, the U.S. president in his social media posts has called reports that indicate things are not going in the administration's favor and that talks have effectively broken down as fake news. But we got another example of this on Capitol Hill when the Secretary of State was questioned in a committee hearing on Capitol Hill by a Democrat by the name of Cory Booker. He was particularly sensitive, not just about the issue that these talks may not be progressing at the speed the administration is hoping, but also that the deal that is being pursued by this administration is nothing more than the sort of 2.0 of the JCPOA, which Donald Trump, of course, pulled out of and that was negotiated under the Obama administration. In fact, Cory Booker, the senator, going even further, saying, in fact, it isn't even as good as the deal that Donald Trump pulled out of and criticized so heavily, but in fact is far worse. That's something that the Secretary of State pushed back on, arguing that the facts were wrong. But clearly, given the fact that he bristled at that question, there is enormous sensitivity here in Washington on the part of the Trump administration, particularly the Secretary of State and the U.S. president, that they have not been able to achieve a deal to not only reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which is hurting the global economy, but also to bring about a deal to limit Iran's nuclear program.
Kimberly, thank you so much. Kimberly Halkett there joining us live from the White House.